Okay, we were obviously it's the NFL draft. We're as excited as everyone for different reasons, though. Bob likes the intrigue, the kind of the soap opera nature of the whole thing. I just am kind of like a wide-eyed, doe-eyed innocent on the whole thing. I don't know much about anything. I like the chaos and the confusion.
I love that you readily admit I don't know anything.
I might as well, because people know about the draft. In fact, we talked to a guy, Dan Shonka, with ourlads.com. By the way, they do the best guides. I mean, we both do agree on that. On the draft, and we asked him about well, obviously the Seahawks. A little more difficult for a team picking in the late 50s like the Seahawks, but he gave us a very interesting name, a name that I have seen just in looking at mock drafts coming up at the end of the first round. So it strikes me as if this guy were to last until where the Seahawks pick, the sense would be from everyone that they'd get real value.
Yeah, he actually isolated a few guys. He went at pick number 56. They're going Arthur Brown, K-State, at pick number 80, blah, and pick number, I mean, he went through the whole thing. Now, whether it turns out that way, nobody knows. In fact, he said that to open the interview, and you can check it out on the podcast page. But basically saying anybody who says they know what's going to happen is lying. Nobody, especially this year, which to me is what makes it intriguing. But yeah, he talked about not even so much the guy, but just the position, outside linebacker,
right? Which
is something that you and I had talked enough about, because it felt like anytime somebody talked about need, it was, well, they could use some help on the offensive line, some depth, or maybe a defensive line. I kept thinking, well, Leroy Hill isn't coming back as far as I know.
We haven't heard, but it doesn't seem like it.
So unless Malcolm Smith is the answer and they feel like they're completely set, are they at least going to draft somebody for competition's sake? Are they? So it sounds like he's along those lines of thinking. Now, whether that happens or not, who knows? But trying to predict second round is even harder than predicting the first round in a year where first round feels and appears to be impossible to predict.
Dan said, and again, you can check it out on the podcast, and most of the guys we've talked to have said that it does appear to be a draft that's deep. I mean, it's not particularly top-heavy, so that's why the first round and the first 10 picks in the first round, I think, have been really a conundrum for people to figure out. But that actually, when you get down there, second, third, fourth round, and we know the damage that John Schneider's done down there, that it's a deep draft, and he started on the lines, offensive line and defensive line. So, whether or not Arthur Brown, who again has been touted a lot higher than the 58 where the Seahawks are picking, goes before them, I wouldn't be shocked if they just, well, we can always use another offensive lineman. You can always get another defensive lineman in there if they really just did a draft like that.
The only two positions that would really surprise me if they picked it with that second round pick would be quarterback and a kicker.
Yeah.
And outside of that, anything else? If they go wide receiver, yeah, okay, offensive line, defensive line, cornerback, even a running back. I mean, they're not going to surprise me with anything. Those are the only two positions where I'd go, well, that seems odd.
But that's about as far as we'd go.
Yeah.
They seem to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We'll trust you, John.